Today on The Spotlight, we're joined by Matthew Faddy, the Executive Director at Oceanwin Advisory. Matt, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Very excited to be discussing everything with you today. I just was wondering if we could go back to the early start of your career, and I understand you started audit at PwC. What was that experience learning like?
It was a great way to start a career. A lot of fun. They scooped a whole bunch of us out of universities, and we all started together. Visited a lot of different workplaces, lots of different companies. Worked very long hours, but had a great time doing it. But it was a great opportunity to understand what's out there.
Yeah, you get obviously a lot of exposure to different companies as part of audit.
Yes.
Any favourite industries you got to touch on?
Yes. One of them was real estate. I worked with Lend-Lease for a period of time. I was in there as a it wasn't an audit role so much, it was more a financial services role, but that one was one that stands out still to this day.
Wonderful. I guess that's how you got your start in property, I guess, and the exposure.
Yes.
Were there any transferable skills from that sort of early career into your roles in property?
Yeah, of course, the understanding of financial statements and understanding how businesses run and financing and so on and so forth was very important for real estate and very transferable for real estate. The other aspect to it was understanding clients and working with clients and engaging with them and sometimes having conversations that weren't so pleasant, sometimes they were, but being able to manage those and have that client interface was a skill that I took from those early days in the audit profession.
Wonderful. I guess that teaches you, how to those tough conversations. Those can be quite hard to have, especially, early on in a career when you're quite young. Did you have any sort of tips for people who might be experiencing something similar?
First thing is obviously be very prepared. So understand what the arguments are for and against. Put yourself in the other person's shoes as well to understand what the contrary position may well be. And then I would say from that, approach it in a very measured way. Don't allow the moment to get away from you or get away from them. That's
very good advice. Thank you. Now, obviously, while you touched with Lend-Lease while you were still at PwC, you ended up working at Lend-Lease, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Wonderful. Well, while you were at Lend-Lease, I understand you're responsible for their retail assets. What drew you to that sector? Was that just chance or?
There's a little bit of chance in everything in my career, a little bit of luck in everything in my career as well. So that's probably a recurring theme. I was given the opportunity to start at Lend-Lease in a finance role at Bankstown Square. And you might not know where Bankstown Square is. But Bankstown Square is one of the first shopping centres in Sydney, southwest Sydney, and was an opportunity to be part of running that business. And what appealed to me about retail was really the fact that there are so many moving parts. Engaging with the retailers, some of the best experience I have with the entrepreneurs that start these businesses up that operate in these shopping centres. So there's so many moving parts. I really enjoyed that. And then moved out of finance, then more into general management roles while I was at Lend-Lease.
That's really exciting. With the retail stuff, you kind of got to get the perfect balance and everything. And meeting those people. Were there any standout lessons you learned from that period?
That was always interesting because it was at times people's livelihood was at stake. In the 90s, there were a lot more individual retailers than what we see today. Today, typically, there's more chain retailers and more franchises than what there was at that time. So again, appreciating the fact that it was these entrepreneurs were putting their business on the line, their financial stability on the line to take a punt. And so understanding that and being considerate of that was something that was very important.
That's really interesting. Obviously shows a lot of responsibility, making sure that they're taken care of and everything. As you said, that can be people's livelihoods. You've held a lot of different roles, I understand, throughout your career. How would you say the industry has changed as both you've moved throughout those different sort of hats you have to wear, but across time? Yeah,
I'm definitely a generalist, and I enjoy being a generalist. I probably get a little bored just being in the one sector, and through my career I've been lucky enough to have lots of different opportunities and in different subsectors of the industry. As far as the areas that I've enjoyed through there, it's been about putting myself into those environments that have been challenging and have been new. What's changed though is when I went from Bankstown Square, and I went over and stepped out of finance into a general management role at a shopping centre in Perth called Floreat Forum. Lendlease had just acquired the management of this building. I begged what became my boss for her to allow me to go over and manage it, but I was seen as a finance person, not as a centre manager or a general manager. I convinced them that I could do the job, but only because they couldn't find anyone else. They looked and they looked for at least 4 months, and in the end they went, "Oh, you can go." And that move and taking that step out of finance then into general management. So I was leaving behind, I'm a chartered accountant, I was leaving behind that career and vocation, I guess, to take on something that was different and take a risk. But what it also meant is once I got there, again, I'm here in the mid-90s, the systems were nothing like they were today. The communication was nothing like it was today. Perth is 2 hours time difference. So pretty much I was over there in my late 20s, pretty much doing whatever I wanted to do with this building. And that was really exciting. But today there'd be more checks and balances, there'd be more systems, there'd be more focus on ensuring that there wasn't the risk that I went into. But it was fun, it was an opportunity, and I loved it.
That's quite an interesting, transition to general management, though. Coming from a financial background, You just sort of put your hand up and said, like, hey, I'm willing to learn this, and I've got that curiosity for it. Do you think that also played in part why they selected you to go and run that?
Yes. I would say, for sure, one of the key takeouts for me on how my career came to unfold was I was always putting my hand up. So if there was a tough conversation that needed to happen, or if there was some work that needed to occur, I'd say, oh yeah, I can do that. And as a result, people would see that you can, show me you can, and then from that you get to go forward. So putting your hand up and being prepared to take on something that's a challenge and different is very important. So,
any standout pivotal moments from putting your hand up and then a door's open that you just didn't expect?
A few. So that move to, probably the first one out of chartered accounting into working at Bankstown Square was one. Going from there to Perth, taking my recently new wife over there, and we had our firstborn there and things like that. The other one was moving and launching the shopping centre fund, which we'll probably talk about in a moment. But what was interesting about that is I left what was a very good role to take on the process of launching the shopping centre fund and then managing it. And the CEO at the time at a GPT, all staff, basically said, we're going to launch this fund, and if it doesn't get up, Matt doesn't have a job, because my job had been backfilled. So it was quite a moment of, okay, well, I better make sure this actually happens. So those sorts of moments, and then probably starting Oceanwin a couple of years ago has been the next big step out of the corporate world into a more boutique
and
business.
Being a founder too.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that in a moment, but I did want to touch on your time at GPT specifically. Yeah, you had to start a $1.9 billion retail fund. Yeah.
So
you then moved into the logistics and office fund, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about that one too.
Yeah, thank you. So the shopping centre fund was, so GPT had recently internally managed, so it left Lendlease, separated from Lendlease. And one of the first projects we undertook was to set up these two funds. One was the office fund, one was the shopping centre fund. We raised $1.4 billion. It was a very exciting process. The money was raised typically from Australian superannuation funds, but then also a number of overseas either pension funds or sovereign funds. And the process of undertaking that, there was a lot of activity. It was in a condensed period of time. We worked with Macquarie Bank as well. They were our advisors. And it was incredibly successful. We raised more than we intended to, and it was seen as a great success. And then I managed it for the 5 years following. So I had to make sure that what we said it would do, it actually did.
You had to make sure that it had that follow through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. What was it like, managing all those different investor relations too? Because obviously you've got the local ones, but then also some international ones that you had to manage.
Yeah, consistent communication. no surprises. You know, if there's something that's not going that well, let them know. Obviously, let them know the good things that are happening as well, but that consistency. Yeah. Don't hide it, but sandwich it in. Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is going well, this is going on. This is what we're working on currently. Yeah. Wonderful. You also led, what I understand was a 300-person team. Was that a part of the shopping centre fund, or was that a separate role?
That was when I was running office and logistics. So I was running the asset management business for a period of time, which was the three sectors. So GPT was invested at the time in the three sectors of office, shopping centres and logistics, industrial. But then I went and ran the office and logistics for the last 7 years of my time at GPT.
Yeah, you were there for a very long time. Was there anything about the GPT culture that, made you sort of fall in love with it and want to stay for such a long period of time?
Yeah, I was very lucky to work with some great people and people that I really enjoyed turning up to work. You know, whether it was a Monday or a Friday or a Saturday, I woke up in the morning and I felt like this is going to be a good day. Like I really enjoyed going to work and working with the people that I had in my team and more broadly. The other key, and this goes back to that conversation about, or the point about me being a generalist, was I was lucky enough to be given opportunities around the time that I was getting bored. So, started in the asset management function, then went and launched the shopping centre fund, then went back to asset management, and then in the end office and logistics. So there was enough there to challenge me and to learn. So I was a shopping centre person, but in the end became a logistics person. So that was what kept it interesting for me.
Yeah, and you always want to keep learning throughout your career and keep growing, and it's just outside that area of comfort that's like the sweet spot, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to keep looking for that.
Yeah. What do you think, motivated you throughout that time to be able to have the confidence to, because it is sometimes a bit scary to learn something new and, move from shopping centre all the way to logistics. That's quite a jump in some way.
Yes.
What motivated you to make those jumps?
I'm a competitive person. And so I like to win. So the idea of working with a team and making something happen has always been very important to me. And there was opportunities in each of the moves. So the shopping centre fund, we need to launch this. It needed to be a success. So that was a challenge that I was excited to be able to lead. And maybe there's a little bit of blind naivety in that as well. Like maybe I didn't have all the skills to do it, but I went, I'm going to dive in, and I'm going to have a crack at this. And the same with office and logistics, because again, what's a shopping centre person doing running office or logistics? Again, just dive into it. And there's so much similarity between real estate classes. You break it down.
Each other too.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, so being a specialist, you can get across the other sectors reasonably quickly if you want to. I think.
You just got to dive in and sort of learn as you go, as you said. And you always learn more from doing as well.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
Obviously, while you were running your team, sometimes those were huge numbers. Were there any specific leadership traits or styles you tried to emulate that you think, as you said, being quite a competitive person helped lead the team to success?
Yeah. I would say my view on leadership has changed as I've gone through my career, but the way I think about leadership is, one, providing clarity about where we're going. So being able to say, yes, we are going to achieve X. That's first. Second, making sure there's the right team in place. So there's nothing that demotivates a good performer more than the toleration of someone who's not a great performer. Like you want to have people that are complementary and that everyone is pushing to the same goal. And then I would say probably the last point is around, and this is just unique to the way I like to set an example. So if work needs to be done, if there's tough things that need to be dealt with, my view is I should be part of that and demonstrating to the team I'm prepared to take those things on. So they're the three elements I see in leadership.
When you're trying to find that, complementary nature of building a team, have you ever had to have that sort of hard discussion with someone where you said, hey, I don't think that this is the right role for you, or you could be doing better somewhere else? Have you ever had to have those sort of discussions?
Yes.
What do those sometimes go like? Those can be a bit rough, can't they?
They can be rough because ultimately, you know, you're dealing with someone's, again, their livelihood,
Yeah.
and also dealing with their emotions, and you don't know what's going on in their life outside. But ultimately, if you don't address those conversations, you have a problem in the broader team.
Yeah.
So again, you have them, and you have them
Respectfully,
but straight up.
Yeah.
Well, you know, well thought through, and direct.
Yeah, there's no point having any confusion and
No.
stuff like that. You just got to sort of rip the Band-Aid off, literally.
Yeah, you come out of the room and everyone understands.
Yeah.
Not everyone likes it, but they understand.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and sometimes you have to have those bad news. I mean, many people are going through that now, and it can be quite challenging.
Yeah.
Obviously stayed with GPT for 15 years, correct?
17.
17,
Yeah.
wow, that was a very long time. What were were there any values from the company that you have sort of used to, you know, implement similar values when starting Oceanwin?
Yeah. The way I look at the values of Oceanwin, and if you go to our website, you won't see, you know, the five, that you won't see the mission statement or the five values listed there. But the way I think about it is in three simple ways, and I have the luxury of being able to think about how I approach the business. And the first one is working with companies that either inspire or I hold in high regard. The second, and probably the most important, is working with people that I respect and like. And you can't always do that in the corporate world. Corporate world, sometimes you have to work with people you don't necessarily. Yeah. And then the third one is having work that I enjoy and I feel challenged in. They're the three ways I look about, you know, what clients would I like to work with, what opportunities would I like to progress. I'm looking for those three.
That's wonderful. You've got like three kind of pillars that Oceanwin's built on. That's amazing. Obviously, since becoming a founder, that's a huge jump from having a corporate career and a lot of risk and sacrifice that goes into that. What has that transition been like for you? Yeah,
it's been quite a change because from the days at Pricewaterhouse through to the final time at GPT was a long time, like over 3 decades. So no way to hide from the fact that I had been a corporate person for that amount of time. But it's been quite liberating being free to actually, what I do each morning is up to me. Yeah. And I dictate it in the framework of doing work for my clients and making sure I meet what they're expecting from me and things like that. But fundamentally, having that ability to choose the adventure of Oceanwin Advisory is quite exciting, particularly having been a corporate person for so long. Yeah,
that's what do you sort of foresee for the future, with Oceanwin? Are there any opportunities or projects that you're looking forward to or something, new that you want to learn and incorporate?
Yeah. So I've got, I'm on a board with a group called Cameron Bray, and they're predominantly residential land subdivision operators, so that's a new area for me, so I'm learning about that. And then I have a number of other clients who are across various different parts of the sector. One of them is based down in Melbourne, the others are in Sydney. So with the clients I have, there's great variety, and they meet the 3 criteria. So I'm looking to build out that type of client base and workload for myself. And then the second element is, are there opportunities out there to do things? So is there an investment opportunity? Is there a real estate opportunity that Oceanwin can take a lead on with others and pull together something? And that will be a watch this space. Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
That'll be very exciting. It's kind of doing the whole end-to-end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What's a typical day in the life for you?
Yeah, typical day. So I like to get up consistently in the morning and do something. I like being in the ocean. So Oceanwin is a reflection of the fact I love the ocean, pretty much doing anything on the ocean, from sailing boats to swimming to surfing to paddling and everything in between. And then Win is I am competitive. So ideally I like to go and do something on the water in the morning. And then it depends on what the client's needs are. So at times I go to Melbourne for my Melbourne client, or other times I'm I'm at Southwest Sydney for the board, or other times I'm visiting my other clients, or I'm in the city meeting with either agents or others. So each day is very different, but there are some consistencies. That get up early just seems to work for me. That's sort of my clear the head. Let's get started on the day.
They're kind of like those good, healthy habits to have that, kind of puts a good structure on life, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think being generally fit is a good way to approach things. It just gives you the energy that you need to advance your career. You can turn up, you're sharper.
And health is wealth, When you're healthy, you're not taking time off work. It's obviously a much nicer lifestyle to lead and stuff.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
exactly.
Now, bit of a tangent, but sailing, what got you into that? I'm trying to learn how to sail, so this is where the interest comes.
And you're from Auckland. Well,
I know.
So
What a
wow,
better
everyone
place.
sails there. So I got into sailing when I was young. My parents got me when I was about 6. I've sailed competitively, been to world championships in little boats called lasers, or they're now called ilkas. I've sailed 4 Sydney to Hobarts, so I've done a lot of yacht racing, a lot of dinghy sailing over my life. It's something that I love going back to. When I was younger, I was passionate about it. Now it's just a delightful hobby I sail out of Sydney Harbour, Watson's Bay at a club called Vaucluse Yacht Club, and you sail around. There's the Harbour Bridge, there's Shark Island. It's like this.
You can't
is
get a better
pretty
view.
good thing to do.
Those are the moments where you're like, life is good.
Yeah,
you
life is
can't
good.
beat that.
Life
That's
is good.
wonderful.
And so I'm going in those smaller boats. There's one-person boats. There's a Masters World Championship in Formia in Italy in September. So I'm training for that. So I'm going to go over and do that.
How exciting is that?
Yeah.
I'll touch base back in September to see how you go. That'll be wonderful.
Hold high hopes.
No,
Oceanwin Advisory still has to be run as well.
Yeah, true. Good point. It's the passion projects, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. Oh, that's so exciting. Sydney Harbour's like the most gorgeous place to go sail, though, isn't it? Like
It is.
with the Opera House and the bridge,
Beautiful.
and yeah, it's gorgeous. I love every time I'm over here. I always make sure to go and walk down on the waterfront and stuff. It's very lucky also in New Zealand to be close to the water everywhere. So I completely agree with your sentiment of being by the ocean.
Yeah, it's
That's
great.
wonderful. As part of your clients, what you're obviously working with them all the time. How do you manage those relationships with them and ensure that you turn up for them in the best way possible and make sure that the outcome works for them in the best way possible?
Yeah, I'm open with them as far as my time, how much time I have. One thing I have had to do is manage my time very closely. Like in my corporate life, I had people that managed diaries and things, whereas now I'm more across that in the role I'm in now, and making sure that their expectations are clear. And also bringing them opportunities as well. So I find that I'm quite close to those people that I'm working with, and I just balance that time, and just set it out and make sure at the beginning of the week I know what I'm doing.
How do you make sure that you have that balance, though? Because it can be quite hard, especially when you're, starting up your own company, to say, oh, I'll work those extra hours, and it does, come at the sacrifice of some of those, personal passions and things like that.
Yes, I'm still working through that.
It's kind of a work in progress type thing.
It's still a work in progress. It's something that I want to make sure doesn't get on top of me, because I need to make sure that the expectations of the clients are met. So I don't have the ability to get that wrong or let them down. But I'm still working on processes and systems, and even using AI around setting out my calendar and setting out my note taking and those sorts of things. So that's a new area for me, and I'm really enjoying it. But it's still a work in progress.
It's a clear indicator, though, always wanting to learn and try that new thing, and that's wonderful. Do you think that's one of the key attributes, would you say, to your success over the years?
Yes. Inquisitiveness, as I say, maybe that naive ability, I'll have a go at this and let me
Having that bias for action,
Yeah, bias for action, that's very good, and that's absolutely true for me. And then luck. I've just had people through my life and my career at various times that have just said, you know what, I think you can do this and I'll support you. And that, having that mentor or sponsor at various stages in your career is incredibly powerful.
I heard an interesting thing about luck the other day, and it only really turns up for people who turn up and put in the work, because it's kind of that opportunity, and when it presents itself, you've done the work beforehand, that you're able to take take advantage of it, and so that's what creates that luck.
Yes.
So
I agree with that as well. You need to put yourself in the position for the luck.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to have done the work that luck can then be the little kicker that gets you over.
Just gets you through the door. Yeah. Wonderful. Obviously, you talked about like the sponsors who have helped you sort of create those moments of luck. What do you say? Have there been any lessons or people that have stood out from your career, and maybe some of the mentorship you've had? Yeah,
I've had a number of mentors, and some are still with me today, and from different walks of life. Some are, as you'd expect, senior people out of real estate who I've just had a connection with, and just being so generous with their time. There are so many people that are generous with their time. If you just ask them for a coffee, and they'll turn up.
I could not agree more with that, especially in property. I don't know what it is. This industry is so, they'll rally around you and like really support you in whatever you want to do, and offer their time. And you sitting with me today, that's like a clear example of it. It's wonderful.
Yeah. So I still have those people, and some aren't from real estate. Some are from other walks of life, and just people that I will bounce things off, and have just been really helpful in making decisions. And ultimately, we all have a level of imposter syndrome to various degrees, but a good mentor will say, no, because you've done this, because of who you are, you can actually do whatever the next thing is. Just back yourself.
That's sometimes like the best thing you can hear too. You just need that little bit of support, and I find that sometimes you're on a path, but you completely forget all the stuff that you've done to get to the point in the path. So you need someone to remind you and say, no, you've done the steps you need to do to get to where you are now. You can keep going. Just that little push you need. How has the idea of success changed to you? Obviously, you mentioned you're a competitive guy, and you like to win and experience success. So has that definition or the idea of it changed across your career? Yeah.
And so we're talking about success in a work context, because success in life's a whole nother conversation, and probably a whole nother podcast on success, I suggest. But as far as success at work, yes, it was about leading teams to win something. So we set a goal, let's go and make that happen, and celebrate it at the end. Now in the role, or the roles I'm finding myself in, it's more about working for others and helping them achieve what they want to achieve. So it's less about leading from the front, and now it's more about providing my expertise,
and
my intellectual property, and saying, how do I help you get to where you need to be? So I'm less at the front now and more, I guess, at the side.
Yeah, offering that guidance and trying to push them in the right direction and stuff like that. Yeah. That's wonderful. Almost wind and sails, would you say?
Very good.
Well, before we wrap up, obviously we've had such a good conversation today, and just wanted to end on, if you could go back to the start of your career, what is a piece of advice that you wish you could give your younger self?
Yeah, great question. I would definitely recommend myself get involved in real estate. Like, what we can do in this sector is so valuable to society, from whether it's from hospitals, accommodation, places to work, places to shop. Like, real estate is a sector that is a necessity for a society like ours. So I would definitely pick real estate. And then the second piece of advice, and it would be, take those opportunities, look for them, take the sideways step, go lateral. Go take roles that people will say, why did you do that for? You were doing so well doing Y. Why have you stepped across to this? Take those opportunities. If they interest you, take them and see how you go. Learn. My view is look for diversity.
That's wonderful. Yeah, and again, I guess that ties back into your learning and sort of bias for action you've discussed throughout the conversation. That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us today and sharing all your knowledge and stories that you've given us today. So thank you so much for your time today, Matt.
Thank you, Charlotte.